Hello, my name's David Greenly, and I've just put this audio file together to support the slide presentation that's available on the website, and to explain the slides in an overview, which hopefully will become more clear as you go through the slides themselves and the supporting notes that I've put on the website as well. What we're trying to do over the 20 slides is to show the Scottish ancestry for Doris and Gladys Cole via their parents Peter Cole and Elizabeth Miller. There they are, and then their parents and their parents' parents and their parents' parents' parents. As you'll see, we have quite an interesting map to go through. Show it to you here. So there's Doris at the bottom with Gladys, and then their parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, great-great-grandparents, and in some cases all the way back to 9th grandparents. This is a useful tool to keep an eye on because it will give you the overall position in the slide deck as you tab forward. This is a very important slide as well, because what it does is it shows the DNA matches on the Cole side and the Miller side, and I should have just said that as the trees go up, the left hand side is all via Peter Cole and the right hand side is via Elizabeth Miller. So anybody over here and any of the DNA matches are Miller related, and over here are Cole related. This is one of the very, very powerful things that's happened recently in anybody that's involved in ancestry at an amateur level such as myself, that you can submit your DNA to ancestry.com and they will compare that with thousands or hundreds of thousands of other individuals that have done the same, and what it looks for is your tree and other people's trees and spots common ancestors. And as you see, these common ancestors come alive when we look at the slides that show how they relate to the living DNA relatives that we'll have down at this level, but more on that later. More of the DNA, but in a bit more detail, plus a little bit of detail about where some of these ancient ancestors. More of the same. More, and on the Miller side, as we said, there's a couple, including Catherine Forrester, as you can see, who's a 5th great grandmother who has lived most of her life and married life in the Stirling, or at least the Clackmannan area. These are the details then that are really of interest, and they're interesting because they validate the family tree. So what this is basically saying is Suzanne, who I don't know, and there's myself, both share a tiny part of DNA, and that DNA is being passed down through Suzanne's family tree via John Cool and Margaret Cool, and the same piece of DNA has come down through Peter Cole, Doris, to myself and yourselves, and that's why there's a match. And there's 7 of those in total. I won't go through them, but you can see how it works. So Graham Reed again is a distant relative living today, and how we share a DNA with him through Andrew Rutherford. Explore those, and also the common areas that we've talked. Finally, just a couple of slides that will show the geographic distribution of DNA relatives that we have. Not surprisingly, lots of Scots went over to Canada, lots of English went over to America, and both will have gone to Australia as emigrants, or possibly as deportees, and transported there for crimes, possibly. Lynn Morrison, don't know who Lynn is. There's no tree to support her, but I do know that she's a DNA relative, small amount of DNA. She lives in Aberdeen, and I do know from our tree that there's a lot of Morrisons in the tree around Aberdeen from the sort of Middle Ages, and that's where the Cools originated as well. So it's very likely that there was relationships going on there between Morrisons and Cools. A couple of documents at the end just to give you something to look at in terms of birth certificates, and see how all of this material starts to be loaded up into Ancestry.com by themselves, and they start to use that to build relationships that you can drag into your own tree. So it's a very slick option. And 2 certificates there as well for Peter and James Miller for you to look at and enjoy. Anyway, that was just a very quick tour through the slides. Take your time to go through them in detail with the accompanying notes, and hopefully you'll find it very entertaining. Thank you.